Alright everyone, welcome back to Season 3 of Blood Rush League. Now, you are actually hearing this right on your screen. This is a Hillbilly set, and you are seeing it right. We are on the Greenville Square here, which is a very, very interesting choice, of course, but I think it honestly might become a fairly alright map for Hillbilly. But yeah, this is a round of 32, and it's a best of one here to... So not round of 32. This is the qualifiers match for the round of 32 placement, and it's a best of one as a result. And Wegoboff and Demonic, yeah, the teams fighting it out. You do see Wegoboff actually, the kill start just a little bit slow, unfortunately, I'd say. Hillbilly, you'd say, is one of the more lethal killers in the game with the Instadan and the really, really fast speed after the buff. But I feel like everyone knows this, and you can see how beautifully our survivors are playing around the Hillbilly. Even though they really don't have that much to work with, they're still making it work somehow. And Orella doing a good job here on this 10 little top side here to stay alive. But just as I say that, they do unfortunately lose that 50-50 on the pillar. So that's a relatively like I would say average time to get that first down for our killer. And we might see a gen pop in the background though, because that was no corrupt intervention, and the survivors might have just been doubling a generator in this time. Like maybe the main building is popped, but no, we do find that this generator on 4 is popped instead. A bit of undying value coming in on that dull totem, as we do see Jake continue looping this funny jungle gem. I don't think it's going to be a fast down coming in through, but that's again a bit of undying value. That's a beautiful little flick again coming through from our killer from Wegoboff, and that is honestly something that I've rarely like. That kind of flick there is something that I rarely see Billy players do. I was in a 1v1 tournament, and there was this is quite a while ago, but there was a killer, there was a Billy player who did that really, really nicely, and you can see Wegoboff just securing that second down really, really nicely onto a Jake to escalate the pressure, kind of I guess in a way punishing that commit on the first gen, but at the same time, they still got it done. So we do find our ace here again. Undyne getting info value. Wow, I'm very surprised here that that's the case. But Ace is going to get a little bit zoned here without a pallet, I think, on this 10 side. And I'm honestly surprised that our killer is not going for the tunnel out onto any of our survivors that have been hooked before. Because, on the Billy sets, pretty much any map, as long as you can get downs quick enough and you can patrol the gens, usually you would just consider trying to go for a 4v1 as quickly as possible. As we do see Ace continue this chase along just near Shaq, and our killer really does not want to have anything to do with it. Tries to show off the skills on Billy, but unfortunately it's kind of lacking just the slightest at the moment. Not being able to secure this down is such a huge deal. They tried the S-curve, but Ace was ready for it, going for the dodge, and it forces the M1 to come through from Billy. So that was a huge amount of time waste coming through, and you can see here that this mid-gen has already got around 50% progress. Our survivors are very aggressively doubling this demonic, going for this, but it's not going to be enough, I think, for our Jake to find safety as the second gen does pop in the background. Given the state of this game with Ace's great chase, our survivors kind of managed to recover from that double down early on, but at the same time now Jake is being kind of tapped, and that is going to cause some issues because they've died again very close to this active generator. And yeah, that gen's just going to regress from the ruin, which is of course one of the perks chosen by Billy. But that's one layer of the ruin gone, cleansed by Arvella. But oh my gosh, did they hop off the totem? I didn't hear the sound effect, but I think they must have cleansed it because Undying Totem is no longer lit. So yeah, one layer of the ruin is gone in this trial, but it still seems pretty brutal for our survivors, even without eruption, because ruin is still up on this bot side, and they haven't found it yet. So it's just going to be slowly eating away again at that mid-gen or off the generator, which the survivor who chooses to rotate does leave. So it seems like Jake is going to approach the final moments of this trial as Hillbilly secures this death. But again, we're still yet to see a generator pop. Perhaps two generators may pop for this, but I really doubt, because again, the Hillbilly is great at traversing the map, and we really haven't seen that much progress coming in. But the last minute unhook comes in onto our Jake, and that's a huge mistake coming in from our killer. Just what patience for my survivors to just wait for that, and they kind of just won that guessing there that our Hillbilly would not commit for the down, and they go for a swing through the power as well, but they don't make it, so they have to try go for the soul here. It should be curvable, but our Jake is fast as hell. What the hell is the speed coming in for our Jake? They managed to make the power, gets a beautiful stun as well on this main power, and they should be safe for infinite time around this main building. This is not a tile that you want to be chasing as a Hillbilly, even though, you know, he's a very, very fast S tier. All of these, like, he plot twist DS. Oh my god! Plot twist DS as well coming in for our Jake to secure more time for this chase. And yeah, this is not the tile you want to be chasing. You can see all the geometry of the main building is really, really detrimental for a Hillbilly. But our survivor went outside trying to perhaps make way to another pallet or trying to get upstairs. And that's going to be the nice curve onto our Jake, securing the death at around 2 generators remaining. So just as I said, another one pops, but our survivors might actually be able to get an additional one done thanks to that nice early, or that late, extremely late unhook, and that's the final generator being popped of the trial. Ace committing that generator, I think, along with our Dwight, will secure 5 generators for our team, just for, I believe, it is looking like 5 stages on the board. And yeah, it's pretty solid result from our survivors, because even though this map is really large, and I would think that is pretty detrimental for the Hillbilly, that double down coming in early on in the trial was so bad for our survivors. They managed to recover from that, kind of maybe just baiting our Hillbilly not to go to the tunnel line, and managed to also get that really crucial unhook onto the Jake at the last second to secure his survival. And then he made main building, extend that chase for ages, and allows these 7 hook stages, I believe. Is it 7 hook stages? No. 7 hook stages, yes, to get out of the door safely. So that's a pretty, I was going to say incredible, but I think that is a very solid result coming in. And Ace is delivering 2, and he uses that just at the last seconds of this hook, just to try and get enough time to maybe get out of hatch, maybe get out of the door. And Billy doesn't want him to leave at all, tries to zone him away with line of sight, but Ace holds the W key away, tries to make it towards Shaq, so Hillbilly knows this, has to know that Shaq has progress, but Ace also knows it, that he's going to get cut off from Shaq, so it's just a bit of a zoning game as the end game timer does tick down. Dwight's still in the trial, you know, keeping that timer, keeping the hatch from going in and spawning in, but Ace is going to get down, Dwight loses the trial, so that is still going to be 7 stages. The deliverance, unfortunately, was not enough to secure anything more for Demonic, but that's still, regardless, that is still a beautiful survival performance, I would think, because again, as I was saying, Hillbilly, on a lot of maps, if the geometry is fairly normal, I would expect there to be a lot of 4Ks, but seems like Demonic has defied my expectations. So yeah, that's impressive results, and we'll have to see what Wegoboff have to do on the survivor set to meet this win condition after we go to a short intermission. Alright everybody, welcome back to Blood Rush League Season 3, our qualifiers match for the round of 32, so technically it would be around 64, but it's a qualifiers match, so anyway, whatever, it's the placement for the round of 32. As I was saying before, and Wegoboff and Demonic, of course, are fighting this out, and honestly, I think that Wegoboff did a little bit underperform on the Hillbilly in the previous set. Got 7 stages on Greenville Square, of course, same map in the previous trial, but I feel like 7 stages is completely doable for a survivor or a killer side from Demonic here. But that's a really nice little dodge here from Dwight, as he does take this filler power outside main, and is actually deciding to greet it, and unfortunately loses this short side. So that is a fairly fast first down from Demonic's killer, but it is the down on the No Mither survivor, and for 7 stages, I think the one thing that you want to try and avoid is going for like the survivor who most likely has the decisive strike, which I think, honestly, looking at the Dwights here with the obsession being on him, I think he's most likely going to be the decisive strike, but he's just holding W away from this. I think our Jake had borrowed time, and look at how speedy our Dwight is, even greeds the pallet, and just makes it all the way towards Shaq, and this is a very interesting start, I think, to a Hillbilly set. And you know, they got unhooked early, So technically, you could say that the tunnel out is happening fast, but at the same time, that borrowed time hit is allowing them to get so much distance. Actually, that might be made for this coming in, and that's a beautiful crouch check just to delay a little bit more time. They forced a locker too, so that's going to be decisive strike coming through for Dwight Fairfield, and they do have their dead hard as well off the hook, as we do see that first gen pop. Shaq Pilot might not even go down here. Look at this. Spider's playing so confidently around Shaq, and our killer decides to leave here, maybe trying to secure some fresh hooks. So, wow, that's a great transfer of pressure off our tunnel out, and our killers, yeah, kind of a little bit in a tough spot now. Can't really secure the down onto anyone just as of yet. Our guy Shaq had the Shaq pallet, and our Dwight here has dead hard, although unknown to our killer, but probably guessed at this point. But they still resume the chase onto our Dwight. They do continue this double pallet looping action, and yeah, continue their way bot side, which I believe we might see another gen pop on this bot side, but they're just gonna chew through the pallets at the moment, and Dwight's just handing them over as if they were just free change. But yeah, it's gonna be enough to divert the attention away onto our Renato, and actually past our Renato. I don't think our killer cares about that and just wants to try and defend the generators, and defend the generators is apparently gonna be a difficult task. That's the second one done, as we do resume the chase onto onto our Dwight again. It's kind of like picked up this chase over 2 times already in this trial, trying to secure the tunnel perhaps, but that is a beautiful, beautiful dead hard as well coming through from our Dwight, and actually gets the Palestine too. Oh my gosh, that is not something I would ever go for, especially when I think there's just a tiniest little bit of ping coming through. So our Dwight's just getting so much distance here, and I Hillbilly really isn't able to secure the second down onto our Dwight. You know, he's kind of out of perks except for that dead hard, and okay, Nancy is just there, but that's the third generator too done of this trial, and I think our survivors can afford to give away this down here, like just pretend that it was onto our Dwight, and our Dwight had an additional hook stage onto them. That's kind of what they're thinking right now, I guess, and they are really on track for the 7-stage win condition. So Wegoboff also have very much impressed me on the survivor set of this trial. You know, they can definitely go for the 7 stage, as I was saying, but it's still completely doable from our killer, because as I was saying before, what the hell? Said wait. Oh my god, what a scam. But anyway, Renato does buy a bit of time. Does get curved though. What the hell was that scam though on the filler for my Billy? But maybe it's just a beautiful crouch check coming through. But anyway, whatever the case is, that's going to be the third hook of the trial. Third fresh as well. And I believe our Renato was the deliverance as well. So you don't really want to necessarily hook that guy. It's pretty much not going to secure that much apart from the fresh hook that it does provide. So no pressure as well from the hook technically, because they can just unhook themselves, and we can hear we can see that main gen is like really close to being done. So that's just, yeah, that's just 4 gens done for this, and killer still needs to get 4 hooks here, and it seems pretty difficult for them, as we do find out Renato chasing Shaq, but they again still have the Shaq palette. I'm surprised it's just still been up all this time. Our survivors have just kind of used it as a kind of safe haven to leave up and just use whenever necessary, and I feel like it's kind of worked out for them, as they can, you know, afford to play a little bit more lenient on the side of like keeping some resources up. So Billy is still again struggling to secure the downs, and I guess yeah, they do have to get 4 hooks, and that seems pretty difficult here as Nancy gets a nice stun here on this edge map. It seems hard because our survivors are just keeping their distance really well. I mean, Nancy does go down here, obviously no dead hard available for them, but yeah, that is kind of needed pressure for our killer, and I feel like our Nancy's maybe at this point maybe just giving away those 2 free downs, which maybe shouldn't have come in. But our survivor side though aren't really capitalizing on this chase from Nancy, and they really aren't sitting gens. They're opting to stealth for a bit, which I feel is very strange, because this generator setup is really poor for our killer. So we can definitely sit gens fairly safely, and just as I say that the gen setup is poor, I just realized that it's not really that poor. There's these 2 bot gens, but yeah, that gen near Shaq, like, it's definitely workable. They could definitely double it. They could sit the no-biter survivor, healthy ace, and maybe the Hanato on that, and try Or they send in ace for the hook and then no mid sits on the gen. And they could just try something there, but I guess the plan worked out after all. Ace is here. Is it? That's not ace. Hold on, that's a Dwight. The no mid is here, and they should be doubling that topside gen. So that's 4 hooks as of now, and that's a BT hit as well coming in from Nancy. But Killer's actually deciding to chase Nancy here, which I'm not sure is the right call. Yeah, they're leading that, and they don't want anything to do with the low amount of fresh stages still available for them there. And yeah, they do have to consider now, like, how am I going to get these 2 more fresh stages because, well, not 2 more fresh stages, 2 more stages because I believe the only fresh survivor left in this trial is our ace, and he's nowhere to be seen. We haven't seen him for the past 2 to 3 minutes, so he could be anywhere stealthing around that high progress gen. And I guess our killer does not want to commit too much time there, lest this bot side gen set up pop. But Nancy's going to get caught out here. This is a bit of a blunder coming through, and that's going to be that death onto her. I think there's no anti-tunnel, so that's just a kill coming in, and kill fairly quickly, and a free hook for them too will secure 1 stage off the tie condition. So wow, I feel like that Nancy kind of gave away a bit too much here, but that's a final generator popping, and now Ace is taking the next chase. This is the first rook. This is who you want to be chasing as the killer, and our killer does just decide to fully commit onto them in this double power setup. Ace doing a bit of a nice job playing patiently, trying to take enough time, just buy enough time for the rotation to come in, and our Hanato is here to take the down, but you can't send in the Hanato either, I think, because Hanato's already been hooked. Wait. Dwight's only been hooked once. I was completely wrong. Dwight's only been hooked once. So Renato being dead only will secure 7 stages, not the 8 stages which I envisioned. And Ace is out the door, goes for the Jiki around the rock, and that is going to be a tie condition. That is going to be the tie coming in from Wegoboff Survivor side. So wow, again, a bit of a surprise from me. I would have again assumed that maybe that was 4K1 territory, or maybe even like a couple more stages out the door, or a couple more stages for the killer. But I guess a tie condition it is, and we will have to head into the replay of the Hillbilly set because we need a clear winner here. So yeah, we'll be back after a short intermission as we get that map set up for you. Alright everyone, welcome back to the replay of this best of 1 Hillbilly set. Now we did see a 7-stage, 3 fresh tie come in the previous trial after a little bit of miscalculation on my side. There was a bit of a math correction there on this end, and yeah, it's instead of 8 stages, which I thought it was going to be, it's 7 stages, and now we have to see the back-to-back killer set from killer play from Demonic come through on the Hillbilly. They were a little bit shaky on the Hillbilly after that first down, and showed with the bomb, but that's another beautiful start to the trial, getting a curve onto Dwight, who I think just tried to raid a wave, anticipating a pallet break zone, but that is another very fast hook coming in. Demonic is off to another very nice start here on Greenville, but there's actually a disconnect coming through on the killer side, so we have to be right back after a quick intermission as we sort that out. Alright everyone, welcome back to the replay of the Hillbilly set. Now, I think Demonic is going to be a little bit disappointed to replay that second half because that was a really fast down again coming in onto our Dwight, but I think there was just a bit of a server issue on our killer's end, and yeah, we provided a no-fault restart, so it's just gonna come down to trying to get this nice start again, and our Dwight is just showing themselves. I think maybe Wegoboff really do want this Dwight to take the first chase, which is funny because from what I understand, you don't really give the survivor no middle unless you want them to stay in the trial. You know, like the whole upside to the no middle, in my eyes, is that you can always just like act as if you are like a forced hook, fresh hook, and rather than kind of forcing a tunnel out onto them at the start of the game by taking the aggro, you can leave them in the trial and provide like an indefinite unbreakable. That's in my eyes, but I guess Demonic's killer doesn't really care, and Wegoboff also don't care about what I think, and that's the Dwight being hooked again, pretty much for the 3rd time in a row in the back-to-back Billy trials. Fairly early on. I mean, it's not really... It's provided enough time for a lot of gens to have some progress, but this triple split, I don't think is going to amount to much. We can see Ruin is going to eat away at the Shack Gen, and it's just going to go back to 0 very, very slowly. But no doubt there is going to be a survivor coming in to take the unhook whenever the killer steps away a little bit too far. So Billy's just scouting the area, maybe farming a little bit of the blue overdrive, or maybe just putting it to a bit of use driving around the map. But we do actually find, I think there's a Claudette here just around Shack, and they take the Vault through Shack, no life. So there's going to be safety for them as our Billy does head back to hook. Just, again, a little bit paranoid about the save, and they're completely right. There is a survivor here getting the pull. I think that was, yeah, it was our ace who actually, now I look at it, they've kind of like, have they changed builds? Is Ace Deli? No, Ace was Deli last trial, so builds seem fairly similar, but I guess maybe everything's similar and I'm stupid. But anyway, Dwight's taking the chase yet again on this bot side, and this time they're kind of juking again with the confidence, with the Dead Hard and the DS in the back pocket. So they're just buying time here again on this bot side for the top side gens to pop, and we'll have to see what they can do. That's an attempted crouch deck, but it's not going to be successful as they go down. And our killer is not actually happy with having to deal with this invincible survivor here. Of course, we can't pick them up in fear of the decisive strike. Oh! Did they take off the decisive strike from our no-meter player? Wait, that's crazy. Or did he miss it? Or did he keep it? Whatever the case is, our Dwight does not use the decisive strike, and the invincible build is going to be not that invincible tonight. So our Dwight goes on the second hook, and this gen popping, I guess, is quite nice. It's around the mid area, but it's not really too much evidence of too many other percentages going on and repairs in the background. So I'm kind of a bit concerned for our survivors at the moment, because considering we haven't seen a second generator pop for the Dwight's chase, I could see this going a little bit badly for Wegoboff. But that's the same coming in the background. Again, another beautiful timing from our survivors to, get that while the Hillbilly is far away. And this time our Hillbilly is actually gonna soar into the mid-map. Somehow, some reason, our Dwight is here in the mid-map trying to play this out, and does manage to evade this and make the jungle gym sort of safely. So yeah, he's just playing this out, I guess, with the last little vestiges of safety of Dead Hard and potentially DS, but they don't actually go for the Dead Hard there, I think. I didn't see the animation, so they still got both anti-toms in the back pocket as this chase plays out. So I still could definitely go bad for them, as our Hillbilly is great, but that's a Dead Hard forced start from our Survivor. So that is going to be one of their lives gone from the Invincible build as the second generator pops in the background. Probably another one does pop soon, but Billy again goes for an ambitious saw. This time, this one does not connect, and Dwight is forced to pre-drop this very, very nice jungle gym, or very strong jungle gym, I should say, to preserve his life a little bit more. But I feel like he doesn't have decisive strike, because if he did, then he would have used it. Well, he would have not dropped the pallet, and he would have used it. So I feel like our Dwight is running on the last legs here. Oh, well, the last two legs, I guess. Last legs in terms of hooks, but yeah, look at this. There's only this one fellow around here. I don't think there's really that much more. Actually, wait, there was a double pallet there, but our Dwight just ran away trying to make this main pallet, and they do. That's going to be a third generator done, and suddenly, again, I guess this case is just taking too long, and I might be eating my words here when I say that the Dwight is in a horrible spot, because they have this nice little car loop, and they're just demonstrating beautifully how to join and, how to join and connect loops here on the Greenville Square. That's a fourth generator done as well, and our Dwight is just going for a beautiful generational run, as some modern kids would say, but I'm less of a modern kid, so I'm just going to say a beautiful chase. So anyway, that's going to be the down here on the top side after a very long time, and that's the last generator done too. Oh my gosh, and our killer's actually deciding to slug this and go for the gate. Also, I just realized this is Wegoboff's killer, so I was a little bit off when I was saying before, but wow, okay, well, I guess we're seeing like a repeat of the first trial, except that survivors really did pop off. That no middle being first chase was kind of really critical for them. And I was gonna say before, like, this is really, really good for Wegoboff's killer side, because their survivors did really well. But this is demonic survivor side, so it's gonna be very, very comfortable winning condition for their survivor side to go, for the killer to go for, because yeah, at the moment it's looking like 5 stages, and we know that the Deliverance players on hook, so could be even less than 5 stages, because that resource is still left in the trial, will allow them to unhook themselves pretty much at any time during the 70 seconds first hook period. And you can see a door here as well on this bot side. It's actually getting worked. What the hell? Is our killer even aware of that? Wait, hold on. Is it being worked or is it Ace on it? I mean, one of the two is going to be the case. But our survivors are definitely going for something here on this bot side, and they're just waiting for the rotation, I guess, as Ace sits on hook. So yeah, this deli could definitely come in extremely handy for our survivor side because at the moment, as it stands, there are 3 hooks for our killer, and that is an incredibly low amount of stages. Of course, that could go all the way up to 5 if our ace does perish on the hook and get sacrificed. But at the same time, if they can get off with the deliverance, 3 or 4 stages on the killer side is kind of insanely low. So an insanely low performance to try and meet for the killer. So yeah, Ace is going to take the belly and try and light away from this. There's a distance coming through, and they're going to try and loop towards 1, but they don't have enough distance, even with light. So they're going to go down on the pallet through the stun and maybe just secure the 5 stages for Killer. But Killer actually does want to check out a little bit, scouting around the area, making sure no one's going in for a cheeky flashlight perhaps before going for the pickup. And really, this could be the flashlight save coming in, but there is no footsteps. I did not hear any, so I think that is going to be 5 stages secured for Wegoboff's Killer, which is a very, very solid result for a survivor side of Demonic to try go for on the Killer. So I'm kind of tongue twisting myself. But yeah, I mean, look, Demonic just got 7 stages, and they just kind of need to replicate that again on the Killer side to take away the victory over Wegoboff. So it's going to be close though, because Wegoboff also pulled off a really good survivor side in the previous trial. So we'll be right back after a short intermission as we get that match set up for you. Alright everyone, welcome back to Bloodlust League Season 3, where we saw the insane 5-stage performance from Demonic Survivors against Wegoboff's Killer. So after the set tie in the previous 2 trials, we do find ourselves on Wegoboff's Killer side, sorry, Survivor side, trying to go for the 7 stages, and that is not the start you wanted. That is a down onto the no-miller Survivor. And I think actually in the previous trial, Hanato had deliverance, if I'm not mistaken, or something along those lines. So yeah, this might be trouble coming on from Wegoboff's Survivor side, as yeah, it's just a really fast down, and we don't have a lot of gen pressure coming off this first hook. So yeah, Demonic have to play for 5 stages. It's gonna be pretty rough, I think, for the Survivor side, because 5 stages again is extremely low, an extremely low win condition to meet. But you know, a little bit of a slip up coming in for a Hillbilly allows a fairly free unhook to come through, and that might activate a deliverance perhaps on another survivor. But actually, I think I saw Hanato have the sprint burst, sprinting away from that hook at 150% speed, indicating that perhaps if the builds were the same from the previous trial, that they are indeed the deliverance survivor, which is usually, again, not that good, because that means that they've invested a lot of the anti-tunnel onto the other survivors and not onto Hanato. So that's going to be the down coming through just at 5 gens, and Demonic is going to be able to secure this tunnel out fairly early into this trial. And we still need to see some more gen pressure coming in from Wegoboff. If we saw a generator pop, perhaps now, then it would still be looking fairly possible for a 5-stage result. But without a generator popping, that means they're double splitting, and we'll have to see like the double split be successful, and then a rotation from our survivors perfectly to try and get like 2 more dens done and to get a final second unhook. But our killer doesn't care. They're actually potentially just camping out this hook here just to secure the 3 stages out of the 5, and actually checking around a little bit curious as of why the scratch marks are there. It does find a little bit of evidence of life, and so it's just gonna camp this out. Survivors can't really do anything here, I believe, and really at this point I really don't think the perks on the hook really matters, thanks to the win condition being met very easily. But that's the first generator done in the trial, and I think that's going to be another one very soon too, as we do see Ace hammering it out. But they don't really care. Again, our killer don't really care about the gens popping, because they can secure 3 out of these 5 hooks. All they need to do is just face camp the final survivor and secure their death to secure 6 stages, and that would be enough to take away the victory. So that's yeah, that's Problem's team, and Nancy's gonna get downed here. I think everything's kind of falling apart. Dwight's also gonna get the hook. They get slugged with no miller, but our killer doesn't care. They can just go for the pickup. That's gonna be 4 stages. Then Nancy picked up. That's 5 stages. So I think that's pretty much it for Wegoboff here, and that's a win, I believe, by just fresh hooks, which is pretty sufficient. Pretty sufficient. Right? Yeah, they go for the pickup. Wait, this is 4 hooks, right? 4 hooks. I did my math wrong. But like 4 hooks, 3 fresh, like they just like secure 1 stage. Surely that's just it. No middle, usually not gonna be deliverance. So, um, yeah, that's pretty much game over coming in. And that's another gen popping though. So realistically, our survivors could pull something back. But yeah, our killer's in a very very easy spot to go for. Even a 4K at this point, they've spread the hooks out, but they still have a tunneler onto Hanato, who pretty much has absolutely no perks left in the trial. Um, so I don't know. It's if Wegoboff do want to make something happen here, they have to play pretty much perfect, and they have to stealth perfectly. They have to just I don't know, have to play this trial into to like a level which I've never seen before. But we do find our Ace coming in to try and pressure the hook. It's not really going to amount to much though because they are fresh. So if they go down, that's still going to be a GG anyway. Actually, if anyone goes down, it's going to be GG since we're at 4 hooks. So yeah, with this being secured, the second stage here, I think Wegovoff unfortunately not going through, and Demonic secure themselves the spot in place of 32. So they're trying a little bit of counter deck, but again, our killer don't really care if the 5 goes down, and the only way they could get out of that was with the flashlight save, but unfortunately we didn't see one there. I was going to go nuts and ballistic if that did happen, because that was, again, realistically the only play that they did have. But now they're just playing safe on the gens, and they do give up here as the plot. No, they disconnect. Right? So yeah, that's it. And Demonic are going through into a round of 32 in Blood Rush League. So yeah, well played to Demonic. That was a really, really solid survivor set there. Perhaps Wegoboff's killer weren't performing that well on the killer, but it's still like a no small feat to get 5 stages on the Hillbilly on pretty much any map, any outdoors map with fairly normal collision. I would say, like this is one of them. There's not too many things that get in the way. I would say 5 stages is just a beautiful performance coming in. And the killer still wants to go for a little bit more, tries to get a clip off, but instead goes for the Nancy, and that's a bit of a cross map coming through. Very nicely done, and it's gonna secure a couple more stages here for this trial. But again, it's plenty of hooks that killer got, and that's pretty much securing the guaranteed victory coming through. So they go for the swing on this double pound setup, going for a little bit of camera movement, but our Ace is playing very patient there, gets a stun to the pallet, and continues to chase for a little bit longer. And maybe you can see some juice of chase coming up from our Ace, but Achilles having a little bit of camera movement thing, so they do get the down anyway, and yeah, secure this what looks to be a 4K2, which is kind of more of an average result. Maybe not on Greenville, but definitely on other maps we've seen 4K2s be fairly prominent on. So yeah, GG's, as I was saying, and I guess we'll have to see what Hanato is doing, because they're also Death Hook, so maybe they're just crouching around like a normal spin burst player in pubs, trying to go for the unhook maybe, or trying to go for gate. But oof. Other than that, spin burst, I don't really think they have anything else. So they're just gonna do a little bit of Shack mind games. Oh, okay, we did actually hear. Yeah, that's why they did the Harpy mind game there. And it actually could be a little bit of a merit doing, because I believe the Hillbilly's terror radius was increased to 10 meters. So any of you out there, the spot that the Hanato was holding was pretty valid for heartbeat check spot on killers with 32-meter terror radius. But I recently tried it out in Chaos Shuffle, and the killer, who is an unknown, who has 32-meter terror radius, had distressing. So essentially, I was reading the heartbeat check spot wrong, and I guess Akhenato is not going to be confused as much. They did read that fairly nicely onto our Hillbilly. Still plays his chase out. I think there was a filler pallet here. It hasn't been dropped yet, and killer goes a little bit wide, but Survivor kind of just waited at the corner and buys a little bit more time. Just maybe can do a little bit of jiggy, but that's going to be the eventual down and go on him. So yeah, yet again, we'll reiterate, Demonic's going to go through into your round of 32. So very well played. And I guess we'll see you later. Good night, wherever it is for you. And I've been Tavi. So yeah, we'll see you later with more best of 32s, or I guess the qualifying matches. So whenever they post, we'll be there. So good night.